Tonight, on the 6th of July 2023, Hopewell in a space with the organization called the Sentry, suggested that the opposition led by Nelson Chamisa and the civil society at large are taking bribes, and they are failing to expose corruption effectively or explain it effectively because they are taking bribes. Statements that have been repeated by him since his first dramatic arrest back in 2020. His first ever such arrest that sprung him into world popularity. The words that Hopewell used are exactly similar. The structure, the emphasis, everything, the cluster of phrases are a direct repetition of what he's been speaking against the brutalized civil society who had a hospital institution, safe houses, disrupted and demolished as a result of his own personal intervention and action with Constantino Chiwenga, who over the years I have been personally exposing for brutalizing the civil society. We're seeing these statements from 2020.
I haven't gone through the report myself because I've been traveling from yesterday. And I hope to go through it over the weekend and comment a bit more on it publicly. But what I want to say is what this gentleman has just said is the reality that you see when you're dealing with ruling party supporters who do not want to engage on the basis of facts, but on the basis of rhetoric, on the basis of labeling people as puppets of the worst. They always invariably never engage on the specific issues that are raised in the reports. If you ask them what is wrong, for instance, with the Al Jazeera documentary or the previous Sentry report, which focused on Chrome, they will never tell you what is wrong with it. They'll simply say it's the worst. It's wanting to do regime change, and then finish it at that. I think the problem with the corruption reports that have been coming out is that the opposition itself has failed to articulate the issues to the citizens. When I say the citizens, I'm not talking about those on Twitter Space. I'm talking about the ordinary citizens. So if you go to the townships, if I was in the opposition, if you go to the townships, you need to break down these issues and explain what they mean, specifically to individuals who don't read these reports, but who want to understand why they do not have medication in hospitals, who want to understand why their kids don't have jobs, who want to understand how they've been robbed of their pensions 2 or 3 times. Because this particular type of looting public funds is directly linked to the misery that the Zimbabwean citizen is facing today. So I've always encouraged the opposition that, you need to explain to people how much it costs to run a particular hospital that they use that has no medication, and explain to them how much it costs to put medication in that hospital, and then come at the tail end and explain to them how much has been stolen, how it has been stolen. The opposition has failed to do this. And some have suggested that even civil society sometimes has failed to do this. You see, we live in such a corrupt society, such that people start speculating why certain people are not saying certain things at a particular time, yet those things give clarity to the cause that they are fighting for. Other people start speculating that perhaps there are people who take kickbacks, because corruption is not exclusively a ZANU-PF affair in Zimbabwe. I've always explained that corruption is now a Zimbabwean issue. So you find that somebody who works in a factory can organize to steal things from that factory, and that will be seen as okay. at that level. So, and you look at people talking about ZANU-PF and why they want to join ZANU-PF, they will tell you that they are driven by easy access to resources, easy access to cash, easy access to things that are looted from the ordinary citizen. So, for instance, things like mining claims, they will tell you that if I join ZANU-PF, I'll get mining claims. So, ZANU-PF is commercialized corruption in such a way that if you join us, we eat together. And so I hope the media, I see a lot of journalists here, some very good journalists like Zenzele. I hope the media will have to take the role which the opposition should have been taking ordinarily, of explaining things to people. I saw on the Al Jazeera documentary, whenever I cut little pieces and people started engaging. Whenever the whole film was posted, people don't engage because some of the things are beyond them in terms of scope and understanding. Because even when I read some of the reports, some of the things are beyond me. I need some kind of explanation, and that is the role for me of opposition, particularly because they want power, they want to change things, and they want to explain, or they should be explaining to me as a citizen and a voter, why I should be voting for them. And I don't think there's anything better than these reports that explain why things are difficult for the citizen, why we don't have medication or radiotherapy machines, why the roads are potholed, why the youth do not have jobs. 95% of our potential job workforce is out of work, why we don't have clean drinking water in our homes. So I would like to thank you very much for doing this work which should ordinarily be done in Zimbabwe, but as you understand, it's so difficult, especially for the media, because there's no funding, and there's this fear, which I've always said to opposition politicians: this fear does not affect you because you are politicians. You should not be scared about saying things that are factual and putting them out there. That is the job of the politician, to do that. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, convener, and thank you for this great piece of research that we having to go through now. And I just wanted to uh, echo what you have just mentioned here, that the civil society is vibrant despite the challenges that they are right now. You know, as someone who started the investigation that triggered into the Gold Mafia documentary on the 4th of November, it was in 2018. I want to say that there's a background here, and I'm going to ask convener and everyone else here, what you folks propose must be done to empower civil society and to empower the opposition, Nelson Chamisa's opposition here. And I think this is something that could be answered on this space and maybe later on, because I feel that that should be the end goal here. And I'm saying it as someone who has been really active and who has worked through. And by the way, I said I started investigating the mafia in 2018. It's actually I started in 2015 with Hubert Angel, and I want to say that I beg to differ from what Hopewell has just said here, that the opposition are weak and that they are failing to explain corruption. And I'm telling you right now, as a pioneer in the Gold Mafia documentary, my work was inspired. I want to say I've never been in politics at any time, but the sacrifice that I noticed here by Nelson Chamisa's leadership and by the civil society at large, the doctors who were treating patients and were doing it so fearlessly and amid very, very strict conditions here, where women and men were being raped since the changing of the election results in 2018. An incident that a lot of people don't talk about. I've noticed here a lot of journalists don't talk about it. But I want to say that, you know, that the sacrifice that the opposition has gone through here, judging by what we see across the world, Chamisa seems to have led a political party in one of the most difficult dictatorships of the world that's only comparable to Russia and Belarus. I want to say that, you see, the opposition, I don't know if people ever seen here, that in Zimbabwe, there have been two coups. There was one in 2017, the removal of Robert Mugabe. And then there was one on the 1st of August 2018, when publicly Emerson Mnangagwa's office announced that they were going to use soldiers to literally change election results. There was another corruption that happened a few months after that. That was in January 2019, when Emerson Mnangagwa, whose company, Sakunda, Tagwire's company, it was supplying fuel to the country, changed the prices, leading to a demonstration in which he himself, as an interested party at a business level, changed the figures, and then he unleashed terrorists, soldiers, whether they were real soldiers or fake, I believe they were both, onto the people. 17 people were killed, 50 women were raped. That period was another horror that the opposition and the civil society had to go through, of extreme corruption, which I think should be the basis of focus, or maybe the foundation, before we criticize Nelson Chamisa's leadership or the civil society at large for failing to expose corruption here. They actually did. And I also think that it's unfair to, we had doctors here in 2019, and there's a tweet. I just wanted to alert here the convener, where the last speaker, the second from last speaker here, Hopewell, even confirmed that he suggested to Constantino Chiwenga, the man that I was exposing for offloading terrorists onto the people, suggested that he should go and meet the very doctors who were treating the tortured activists, in what civil society, to the other end, actually accuses to this day Hopewell Chingono for data protection breach here, and also literally
I think,
betrays
Simba,
the civil society. But I want to
your
come back
desire
here.
to follow everywhere
I
I
want
go
to come back.
and use your personal attacks on me on something that's so
Why
important
do you say
is
I've gone
deplorable.
anywhere?
You've been
Your
doing
tweet
this
is
for a
public,
year, and
Hopewell.
it's very
Your tweet is
embarrassing.
public.
You
Hopewell,
come
there are
and lie
women.
about things that you can't
Hopewell, there
provide.
are women.
Sorry, I'm going to have to mute.
I apologize, convener. I really apologize. I just wanted to say that, convener, just as I end, there are women who are still in hiding today, 4 years later, as a result of the shutting.
Okay. Thank you. Hopewell, I know you would like to respond to that. I'll give you space to respond to that, but we've had some other requests to speak as well, from Tinashe. Tinashe, would you like to come in? Hello? Tinashe? Tinashe has gone silent. Hopewell, would you like to speak? Okay, I am going to take that as a no. I am going to ask Nick and Michael to please round off the space. Thank you so much. This has been a very lively discussion. I have enjoyed listening to everyone's perspectives tonight. And I think, Lutando, thank you for starting the fire in this conversation. Sorry. Apparently, I've muted everyone. So that's why. Hopewell, did you have something? Tinashe and Hopewell.
No, I think this has been a very important space. I would not want to spoil it by getting into the attacks that almost every Zimbabwean who attends spaces now knows that this guy just follows and attacks me with lies. I do not want to dignify those lies. I think we should keep our eye on the ball and focus on this important subject of corruption. It's a very important subject because the cracks of misgovernance in Zimbabwe is rooted and based on corruption. So any opportunity that we get to understand more things about how it's being done should not be distracted by ridiculous runs.
Thank you, Hopewell, and thank you again for bringing us to the main point of our discussion. Let's focus on what that is. No personal attacks, please. Tinashe, I can hear you're unmuted. Would you like to come in?
Yeah. I just wanted to contribute on what Simba was saying. There are a lot of young people who look up to people like Hopewell. So I've noticed that in his recent tweets, he's been maybe attacking the opposition for not being consistent, for not attacking corruption, for not having a tangible plan. But what has been happening is that the opposition has been attacked by the government a lot. It has been attacked by every facet of the government, but not been given any media attention, by not even having to be given the platforms to openly campaign and such. So now, if you have people who who portray themselves as now for now standing up for the struggle, for now standing up for fighting against corruption. Now, instead of fighting against the corruption, they are fighting the people who we are looking up to help us in changing this regime, in changing this government. And now, when you come and attack that, you know that you are a person who's respected by by people, and people look up to you. So now, the moment that you discredit the 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 opposition that we are seeing as the agents of changes to us, now gives um, it now gives us a platform where we are now wondering if we are still together in this, or if we are, maybe some people are now being used by the government to sway us from what we are supposed to be concentrating on. Because I think right now we are at a space where everyone is supposed to be united. If we are going to fight for democracy, if we are going to fight for change, we need to be united on all fronts. So I now wonder why the attack is just coming at such a point where we need everyone to be hands on, to encourage each other to go on this plight for regime change. And now people start attacking the opposition and seeing it in shambles. I think there's been some sort of an agenda to discredit the opposition. Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you, Tinashe. Bringing in a very valuable point. It is an election year, it's election season. Things are getting way more heated, and you will see people playing many roles, some of them very duplicitous. So, one of the things that I think we would always like to highlight is that truth, facts is really important, evidence based information. And let's stick to the facts, guys. Let's not let our emotions be swayed by very deliberate attempts at misinformation and misguiding the electorate. And that's something that is very prevalent here on social media. So I think we should be keeping an eye out for that, as Tinashe is saying, that it seems that there are coordinated attempts for people to be silenced. We still have a lot of requests, but I am not going to accept any more